Hello, hello, hello. Just doing some testing real quick. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. It's a beautiful day to blaze some good. A beautiful day to blaze some good. Could you be kind? Please light mine. All right. New episode of Beans and Greens. Um, I'm currently take a little sip. Currently, I'm smoking on. The guy said it was called zucchini. Not sure why, but smoking on some zucchini. And tonight's coffee, not Nescafe. A little disappointed in that, but still coffee. But then again, it's Folgers. Yeah. Then never really developed a taste for it, but that's all I could come across right now. So, the zucchini and Folgers tonight. What's that slogan? Folgers in your cup. The best thing waking up is Folgers in the cup or some shit. Nah. We'll go with the good old Nescafe. But anyway, back to a new night, new topic, new shit to talk about. So today's episode is basically what I like to call laughing with ghosts. Now, there's a reason. Obviously, there's a reason for that. Duh. But so how this comes about is, at some point I started listening to talk radio, right? For mad years it was just music, and for the most part, because I pretty much make music all the time as much time as possible. Don't always want to sit down and listen to music, especially since trying to work on my own stuff. I'm trying hard to stay away from listening to other people's stuff. But that's not as easy as you would think. But so like I said, I got into talk radio, but primarily because of liking being a fan of comedy. Now, I do have some health issues that had me sidelined for a little while, and one of the things that I really got into was YouTube, specifically like watching YouTube videos and stuff, and of course, now trying to make YouTube and stuff. And I've actually been trying for mad years, but this is the most that I've been able to getting consistent videos and stuff like that, and actually getting views. I mean, I still only have 23 followers, but I've gotten videos that going up to like 1.6K views. So I mean, for other people who got their pages popping, that's nothing. But for me, that's something. Anyway, so one of the things that I always leaned on, because like I did mention before, entertainment, it's not necessarily about distraction, not necessarily there's things behind entertainment, but then again there also is distraction as well. And so basically I just long-winded saying that I went down this sort of comedy comedy rabbit hole. Now this is like 10, 15 years ago actually. So this is I'm still I'm thinking, yeah, still in my 30s, and I had one day. This is cable, as a matter of fact. So I was watching HBO, and HBO had the special with Louis C.K. and I laughed the whole time. So fast forward to now, I'm in this apartment, and I'm dealing with some health issues, and I'm not able to be out and about like I was. I couldn't run the streets like I did in my 20s. So like I said, I went down this comedy rabbit hole, and so checking out Louis C.K. videos. Then I saw videos, now comedy videos and stuff. Right, of course, I went through all the mainstays as far as like the black community and stuff like that. Cat Williams, Steve Harvey. Um, all those are staples. That's Earthquake. Those are not outside of what I normally would listen to. Those are what I would listen to for comedy. But Louis C.K. was one that was a little bit different. Then because of YouTube, you get the YouTube suggestions and all that. So with the YouTube, the next one that they recommended was Bill Burr. Now, I was like, ugh, do I want to really, listen to this? I hate when, you get these comics that are, and they sort of pander. You know, I hate that when, you get a sort of like a white comic who would be around black crowd, and all of a sudden, they're hip, and there are some that work, but so there are some that just and just like I hate that pandering bullshit. But I relented and watched watched one of his videos, and he did deal with racial issues, but it wasn't from like a pandering kind of a view. It was more of like, he would just address. I mean, he just had his views, and a lot of the bullshit sort of. I dare to say liberal sort of thinking of, like I'm not, let's even scratch that whole. But either way, he had his own style. So then other suggestions started coming in, and then I seen suggestions for Patrice O'Neal. I was sort of like, ugh. Not because of his name, obviously, but just because circumstances, things that was happening in the news, and his name was put. Basically, I was being an asshole, putting these blocks in my head because of what somebody else said on the news. So then I relented again. Watched the video. Blew my mind. But he had so many comedy videos and stuff like that. But to the main part of it, that led me to the Opie and Anthony show. Now this is a talk radio show that was going on, and during the time that they were actually, most popular, I heard of Sirius Radio because they was like Sirius, and XM, it was the satellite radio, whatever. I wasn't into it because I was just strictly CDs, and this is talking about going all the way back to the time where we had CDs and shit like that. So I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't listen to talk radio. It was just strictly CDs, at that time I was always rocking the system, the cars and shit like that. So anyway, we got these playlists of appearances on the Opie and Anthony show for each one. Like I mentioned, as a matter of fact, it was one playlist for Bill Burr, one playlist for Patrice O'Neal, and so you're talking about 100 different videos, YouTube videos, or basically 2 or 3 hours of a morning radio show. Holy shit! I could just sit down and listen for hours of this shit. It's just people kicking the shit and just talking about topics, and it generally is didn't have much, some social significance, but it was definitely something that was past the time type of a deal. So I'm listening to these different playlists, 100 different videos, and both Bill Burr and then even Louis C.K. had some appearances with them as well, and just it's just hours and hours. And sometimes I'd be doing something and have it playing in the background. Now, sad thing about it was there was a limited amount of actual videos, comedy videos you could look up for Patrice O'Neal, because by the time I started, watching these YouTube videos, he had passed. So now let's fast forward to, this is time where Trump was coming in, right around the beginning of the pandemic. Now you have just the Opie show, no more, no more Opie and Anthony, and as a matter of fact, they did have a third mic. It was just, Jim Norton, and anyway, he wasn't with them anymore either. Funny ass comic. He's still with us. I mean, so anybody watching this, if you have a chance to go see it, the funny ass comic, Jim Norton. Anyway, so now you have Opie, and he's doing his own show by himself. But he has different. This time he has different guests, and a lot of times they were different comedians and shit like that. And he had three people in particular that he did a lot of the different shows, and I guess he kind of wanted to make them the main host. One was Sherrod Small, and then there was another comedian, Vic Henley, and then Carl Ruiz, which is a TV personality. So if you've anybody watching like the Food Network, you got Guy Fieri, you got the guys grocery games and shit like that. So there was always this one personality, Carl Ruiz, and he would come on. He would do different appearances on like the guys grocery games, stuff like that. But he ended up sort of being a host, on this Opie show after it was no longer Opie and Anthony. Funny as hell. And the thing about it was, what he was originally known for, which was the Food Network stuff, you don't really get to see his personality so much. It's like, clips of him, like maybe 2-3 seconds at a time. So now you have him on the radio, and it's just funny as hell. I mean, just funny. So you had the different people, different like hosts for the show, different days. So sometimes you didn't always have, those three hosts. But for me, these were the main guys, and it was some funny shit. Now, here comes the aside to that. So they got the show. Something happened to the show, and it was no longer on the air anymore. And as you go down the line, Carl West passed. That sucked. That really sucked. Then Vic Henley had passed, and so for me, I'm all these years I'm listening to the playlist of Opie and Anthony with with the different comedians, and then I really got into listening to that last season with Opie, where he had these two comedians and Carl West. So it was Opie, Sherrod Small, Carl West, and Vic Henley. And it sort of one night just sort of dawned on me, this one guy through both iterations of the show had come across these people that have passed, but they had such a profound impact on him, and they were pretty. I mean, they were pretty big in comedy, or I mean, shit. Even just a few years ago, even to this day, they're still quoting stuff from Patrice O'Neill's comedy shows in regards to in regards to sort of as a premise for a lot of these different red pill shows and manosphere type shows and stuff like that. I think they don't necessarily get the message. But either way, this one person had been across these but like I said, between these different shows, he had come across all these different people that have passed. And we're not just talking about these comedians. So you have Patrice O'Neill, right? Then there's episodes where it's him, the Open Anthony show with Patrice O'Neill and Greg Giraldo. And if anybody doesn't know Greg Giraldo, go back and look up the roasts with Greg Giraldo. All those Comedy Central roasts. The illest, most vicious roaster ever, Greg Giraldo, and he's passed. Now, again, one of the big ones for me is again Patrice O'Neill. There's even you can even go back and listen to an episode where again it's going to be the host, which is Open Anthony. Then it was Patrice O'Neill and Chris Cornell. And there were some other ones. So you know you can go back and see. It's just like during the course of one person's life, you know it's almost like that Forrest Gump, where this person just do normal habit of just living, just going through his normal course of living, come across these monumental fucking experiences and life changing things that are going on in the world, right? So now this stuff obviously from these radio shows, they're not necessarily world changing or significant on a grand scale or anything like that. But for me, this is something that I listen to all the time. Basically, laugh my ass off. Burn a couple. Sit back and just listen to this stuff or whatever. Play on some video games and I'm listening to it, and it just dawned on me. This one person, Obi, has come across all these people that have such a significance. At least I understand from what he's expressed, they were really significant in his life, and they all have passed on. So it's like he's gone through life. It's going through this period and sort of made it through, right? And we get to, as being the public, the consuming public of these different mediums, we get to sit back and experience these things. And, we live our lives and we have our adventures, but sometimes we have these things in the background that are sort of playing on. So, boom, that's where I get the statement. 25 minutes to explain just that. But, or, excuse me, that's where I get the premise for this segment. It's basically, as I sit down, I realize that I'm not these people are basically ghosts, and in the movies, it's a figure you see, a white figure, sometimes sheets or whatever, but it's something that lingers, something that comes up, and it affects you in a certain way. It could be most of the times it's negative, but in this case, we're listening to these people that have passed on, and just sort of for a lot of people, man, that just that their personality, and how they put it and how they displayed it comedically, it can help a lot of people. I was listening to this stuff during COVID time, and I had big, I had the health problem, the main one, you know, and then as I'm recovering from surgery, this was one of the ones I listened to a lot. So what I'm going to do, you know, I'm going to end this. I'm going to play just a few minutes of one of these podcasts with them. Well, it's not a podcast, it's a radio show. But it's basically, you know, it's basically in the format of podcasts. I mean, if you think about it, if you go back and listen to the old shows, this was before podcasts were a thing. And they were basically podcast format radio shows. So just listen to a few minutes. You know, I get to see if we catch a laugh. And then it's going to be Sherrod Small. It's going to be Opie, Sherrod Small, Vic Henley, and Ruiz. And you get just a taste of, you know, a taste of what I heard. And, you know, you get to see, you know, if you know, one, you know, what of course, if it makes you laugh, that's the main thing. And then, you know, if anything, shit, you can go back and check out the old episode. I'm telling you, I mean, there's always, let's put it this way, you know, for anybody like this, you have to sort of have thick skin, you know. It's for somebody who grew up in the 80s and sort of watched things like Archie Bunker, you're going to get that sort of type of personalities, in a sense. But clashing, I mean, it's really weird, you know. But anyway, for future episodes of Laughing with Ghosts, I'm going to, of course, not talk like I am right now, but, you know, we'll listen to other comedians, and that's basically it. We're listening to comedians that have passed on, and a lot of times there will be social significance in you know, in the clips that we listen to. And then sometimes it's just going to be just because it's just good fun. And in this case, this is basically good fun. Now, like I said, when this was going on, this is when, you know, Trump's first term. So maybe in future dates I'll play episodes where they were giving debates about Trump's terms and things like that and what he was dealing with. But in this case, this one I don't even remember exactly what we're about to pull up. But, you know, hopefully this falls under fair use. I'm only going to play a couple of minutes. It's not going to be, you know, not trying to make a whole video of somebody else's stuff, but I like to react to it for a little bit, maybe laugh a little bit, and then you know, end it off that way. So, you know, here we go. All right, now I'm pulling it up. Here we go.
Yeah. It was you?
Yeah. It was okay.
You finally?
All right. That's a quick 20 years.
That crazy
Fuck,
quick.
man.
You could have killed somebody. You would have been out now.
Crazy
What the hell?
quick.
They're selling that truck for $1 million right now. Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah, it's for sale now. The Suburban they shot him up in $1 million
For
with
$1 million?
with the bullet holes and everything. Henley could have got it with a serious.
They're
stock
talking
market.
about
I
big.
could have, yeah. I totally.
What?
It was $1,000.
But you bought in.
I did. I bought it.
Nice.
It cost me
Good for you,
$1,000.
Vic.
Well, 10,000 shares at a dime is $1,000. Even my broke ass has $1,000. If Mel Karmazin is telling you it's going to go to $3 or $4, then I'm buying the goddamn stock at a dime.
I was kind of like, what do you know?
Kenny
You
said
know.
it was a nickel at one point.
It got really, really low.
It was
yeah.
around a nickel, and then around 10, he's like, trust me,
Yeah.
you know, just buy this fucking thing. But they were trying to merge the companies, and
But he knew
and I'm like,
what he was talking about.
satellites. And
Yeah.
I mean, we're doing
Yeah.
Wi-Fi now, Mel.
Water was
I
out.
didn't even see. Really?
Oh,
Was it?
yes. Oh, yes.
The real security.
Oh, yes.
All right.
A guy that was just had to go walk with Carmi to talk over some things and
So the-
explain some things.
Oh, that kind of
I was going to say, so the firing.
Now, also, what I didn't mention was in the previous segment they were interviewing Tony Robbins, and maybe I should have played that because Tony Robbins and Vic Henley went at it for a little bit, but they made reference that
thing is not a new theme around here.
Is it a road to
know.
perdition?
Okay.
God, no. I've been fired, I don't know, 4 times and probably should have been fired another 4 easily. Easily.
I want to quit now.
Easily.
God.
God, easily another 4 times.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah. Tony Robbins is awesome, though.
Yeah, that dude.
And
Impressive.
He had some real people outside the studio.
Yeah.
Yo.
Like an entourage? Like a whole group?
No.
He
Like
had
a thing?
It was Blackwater. It was
I didn't even
outside.
see. Really?
It was-
Oh,
Was it?
yes. Oh, yes.
The real security.
Oh, yes.
All right.
A guy that was just had his head on a swivel.
Yeah.
He was serious.
Swivel like this.
How many poison darts you think he had?
He was serious business, I'm telling you.
Let me tell you something. I know poison darts when I see him, and he had it.
Yeah,
Carl.
poison dart.
He's looking at North Korean.
That motherfucker had some poison ninja darts.
Does
know
he
you
have
had
the
that-
one that just makes your whole face melt?
He's got all of them.
Really?
All of them. When I see a watch like that, I wrote down on my little notes, careful, someone has fucking poison darts here.
That watch was 200 grand.
That watch is
220,
200 grand?
225, easy.
225 easy.
Easy.
Yeah, go to Panerai.
It's only 2 in America.
Tubulant. Tribulin.
He was the second one to have one in America. That's what he just said. His wife
Yeah.
got it for him. He was the second
There's
guy
only
in
5
America.
of them. He's got number 2.
There's only 5 of those watches.
The first one, I think, was given to the League of Justice. I think Superman has the first one. They did a big event there.
Meanwhile, the whole of justice.
I was believing him for a second.
No, they ain't even up. They don't even have that shit on the internet, Paul.
Wait.
No, it
Paul
ain't
doesn't
gonna
even
be.
know how to look up
You
expensive
know
shit.
watches.
Yes, I'm wearing the same brand he is.
It's here. Adobe Stock Unlimited plan. A plan for those.
Of course. Of course.
Watches,
Mine's
and they
12
only
grand.
made 5 of those?
They made 5 of them: Superman, Tony Robbins, and then 2 other guys.
So can I ask you this? If there's only 5 of those in the world and guys like Tony Robbins are willing to pay for it, why is it only 200, 225? It seems
Only?
like... It seems like, look, 225 is
but
a lot of
yes,
money. I'm
yeah,
not
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to say that, but it seems like if
2
there's
million
only
or something?
5,
If the
then
market,
you could
yeah.
squeeze.
I
Oh,
do.
he was
I
in a
love
movie.
you so much.
Huh?
He was in a movie with Adam Sandler before.
Successful there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, with the Spanish.
You're Spanish?
Yeah.
He's Cuban.
Oh, really? I didn't fucking know that.
I'm successful because, like,
I was
think
so
about
caught
it.
up in.
it's-
I know. I
I
like
should do
tricking you.
motivational. I should do motivational for Cubans
You
because, like,
should.
half of I didn't drown. That's success.
I just like
right?
the fact
Didn't
that I
get eaten by
tricked him.
shark.
Yeah.
Success.
Outlive Castro.
Success.
That's right.
You
Mufungo. That's
I'm like
Puerto
Tony
Rican.
Rodriguez.
were you born in the country?
I was born here, but I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I didn't like my family was so hardcore Latin that
You
I
didn't
had an
know you were-
accent. Like when I was saying like Jello instead of yellow and shit. Like
Yeah.
Right.
I didn't even know I was in America until I was like 10.
That's good.
Yeah, bro. I was like, I was an,
I totally love
I
that.
was an ignorant little
Now-
spider monkey.
Now
bro.
it all makes sense. Now,
you
Elian
thought-
Gonzalez,
wait,
you were
My
Elian.
lunchbox was a banana and a coconut. I used to show up to school. I used to look at people. What is this bread thing that you all talk about?
Where were you living at first?
Yeah.
Ah, this-
Florida somewhere?
No, Passaic, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's not America.
Ooh, that's not America.
right.
Opie. It's never. It was a good town in 1948 for like an hour.
Right. A lot of Cubans in that area?
No, we were the only ones. All the Cubans were in Florida, but my family came to the Bronx
Right.
when they came from Cuba, and then they settled in New Jersey,
Hey, what part of the Bronx? South?
South Bronx.
Yeah. Okay.
So my parents came and they were like, "Wow, the South Bronx is really a giant piece of shit. Let's
they
move
moved-
to a smaller piece of shit."
Right.
Not even
right.
kidding.
I
So we
hear
lived
you.
in
That's
Passaic,
why
and it
I'm
was
laughing.
6 of us living in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh.
6 of us, and then when I was a little kid, my father worked sweeping the floors at Thomas's English Muffins.
Oh,
My mother-
he must have came home smelling good as shit.
My mother used to
bet he did,
sew
right?
I'm telling you.
You had to sweep up all that shit
Yeah.
that falls
The
off
nooks
the
and crannies.
all those crooks and
No,
crannies.
no, the stuff on top.
Oh, that dusty.
Oh, Christ. What are they called?
It ain't sesame seed, but it's like
It's
like
the cornmeal.
It's cornmeal.
It's
Man.
cornmeal.
What are they called? Like he's like from Narnia. What is that thing that gets
pull
on
out
my
a-
robe? What's that thing that gets on my
You
robe?
pull out an English muffin and now you're sweeping for an hour.
Yeah, so imagine
Why
my-
the fuck does it have to be like that?
I would smell his work clothes.
I mean, you see what I'm talking about? He's just sitting around just kicking his shit. And, you know, 2 of these people here right now that we're listening to have since the show has gone off, have passed on. And that's wow. That the host, he's been there for a lot of these different things, and like I said, even going back to the previous show, one of the big people that was always on that you would hear a lot in the show was Patrice O'Neill, and there's episodes that you can hear when after he had passed on and stuff like that, you can hear them. I mean, I don't know. It's not again. This isn't like big super social significance, but it's definitely if you want to hear. Yeah, if you want to hear sort of a history of the world and stuff, go back and listen to this stuff. The stuff is great. I just wanted to make this an introduction into this segment. I think the next one. So the next one will be a little bit shorter. Plus, I won't talk as much. But next one, I think I'm going to do. Of course, obviously, the obvious one would be Patrice, but I'm going to do one that's out of left field. There was, like I mentioned, there's a comic. There was another comic that was like third seat from the show, the Opie and Anthony show, and he brought up seeing this one comedian, and the comedian had a bit about gluten. Funniest bit about gluten. If you can hear anything, it's gonna make gluten. So that's and this comic, like I mentioned, has since passed. So next episode, I think we'll do that one. But anyway, anybody watching this, I guess it was kind of boring. It's me sitting there talking a bunch of shit for a little bit, but yeah. Go back and listen, man. Go back and listen to Opie Anthony, Opie. Just go back and listen. It was funny. And it's a good way to pass some time. So anyway, the day is long, the sun is hot. The day is long, the sun is hot. You might as well smoke if you got some pot. I'm out.